Recently, I took my Katakuri deck to a local, and I had possibly one of the greatest plays at a local event of all time. My opponent was playing Black Yellow Teach, and on the board I had my 8-cost Katakuri, my 7-cost Pudding, and my 10-cost Big Mom. I was staring down the barrel of 2 5-cost Borsalino blockers and 1 10-cost Blackbeard blocker, and my opponent just played another one in this last turn. We went to like the card game version of overtime, which basically in this context means that after the last turn, both of us get 4 turns divided by between the two of us to try and get like the game finished. And whoever has more life cards at the end of the 5 turns basically wins the game. And unfortunately, since my opponent just played 2 blocker Borsalinos that have an on-play effect that gives you a life, I was short. I was on no life, actually. My opponent wanted to go for game, so he basically swung with all of his blockers, which probably wouldn't have happened in the event that we had like more time on the clock, but I digress. Thanks to my opponent's Blackbeard's effect though, I have no opportunity to use a blocker because that effect is negated, and I also can't use my leader's ability because it's negated. He of course uses the Blackbeard that was already on the field that he could swing with to go for a game, and I don't have a way to defend myself anymore. I could have in theory used my leader's effect to gain 1,000 power after looking at my opponent's top deck and returning a Dawn to the Dawn deck, and then by using my Big Mom's ability by returning 5 Dawn to the Dawn deck, I could have given myself 2,000 power for the rest of the turn, giving myself a total of 8 or something. I'm not really good at math, and then using the counters in my hand and maybe an event card to survive the swing, and I would have been fine. But after Blackbeard went down, that plan went directly out the window. I had absolutely one chance to possibly get this right, and my odds weren't looking super good. However, it didn't matter because this was for game anyways. Either I managed to survive the swing by randomly guessing a cost, or I take the loss, and I did not want to take the loss. So I looked at the board, I used all of my brain molecules to figure out that with the cards that were in the trash and the cards that were on the field, the most likely card that was going to be on the top deck was a 4-cost. Did I come up with that? Yeah, I kind of did. I didn't really have any mathematical process, but I gave it my shot. I returned my 5 Dawn to the deck, I flipped over the top deck, and lo and behold, a Jesus Burgess 4-cost was on the top. I literally could not stop laughing. I got the 2k power from my Big Mom's effect. I used like 2 or 3 counter cards in my hand, and then I used Divine Departure by trashing one from my hand, giving myself an extra 3k power, barely cusping over the 12k and surviving the hit. And at this point, my opponent only had 1 blocker left, and I had another Big Mom in my hand. I had 2 12k swings coming on the next turn, and then an 8k coming with my Katakuri, and then at least a 5k coming with my Pudding and my leader. I was set. I was on the cusp of victory. And then the judge came downstairs, and he told me that the game was over, and we had to move on to the next round. Even though we were only on turn 2 of the 4-turn overtime, I had to take the loss. I ended up talking to my opponent after the game, and he told me that he went undefeated for the rest of the tournament, so it made that loss burn even that much more. But honestly, maybe the Katakuri deck isn't as bad as I thought it was.